Yesterday, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana spoke, Dr. Bawumia, after a long hiatus. His boss, the president who we voted for, has still not spoken to the people. And I remember that last week when I asked a question that as to why the president has not spoken to us. In fact, the week before, I also asked that question, and why he has not spoken to us. We were told that the president will speak to us at the close of last week. Today is Friday. Another week is ending. The president is nowhere to be found. Nana Showboy has not showed up. Nana Showboy has not showed up. So 3 weeks on, the president has not spoken to us. But his deputy, the vice president, came to speak to us. Need I say that the vice president perhaps didn't measure the mood in the country because he again came to say what the government has done as opposed to what it is that people want to hear. So the vice president spoke to us, but he was telling us what it is that he wants us to know and not what the people want to hear. The vice president, again, is blaming everybody else. And that's been the tone of the government, which it messes people up because it gets people angry. The vice president, like all other government communicators, are blaming everybody but themselves. So are they saying to us that 6 years in government, there is not a single action that the government has taken which has brought us where we are? So that if we are sharing blame and giving Russia, giving Ukraine, giving COVID, giving Mahama, giving the NDC, giving the past government, this government has not contributed an iota of wrong, which has brought us this far. Because that's why they had not said it. That, oh, we admit that times are hard. That's, you admit is one thing. But do you recognize your role in bringing us to this point? The government has as yet not found out and has not given us indication, the strongest of it yet, that they are part of where we are. And that's where the problem begins. So 6 years on, you are still blaming John Mahama. 6 years on, you are still blaming the past government. Is it true? Because people are talking about mismanagement. People are talking about corruption. People are talking about wastage. People are talking about unnecessary spend. People are talking about lackadaisical attitude to work. People are talking about plenty appointees do nothing. People are talking about elephant-sized government. People are saying things, even people within the government. You heard the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs in Parliament, leader of government business in Parliament. He spoke. He said, majority of our ministers don't bring value to the table. I became a bit suspicious because here is a man who is a leader in Parliament. And there are three arms of government: the executive, legislature, and judiciary. They are supposed to do what we call checks and balances, keep an eye on them. Oh yes, Roya. Now, the leader in Parliament, who is supposed to be keeping an eye on the executive, accepts a ministerial position from the executive to become part of the executive. And he is supposed to be regulating the activities of the executive. You get what I mean? So I set my questions. I organize the exam. I sit and write the exam. I invigilate my exam. And I give myself a pass mark. That's what, if Mr. Seche Mensabuso has accepted that, if I were him on principle, I wouldn't have accepted that ministerial position because he is supposed to be keeping an eye on the executive. How does he do that when he is part of the executive? Can he keep a good eye? That's the first one. And add that to the provision in our constitution that says that 50% of our ministers must come from Parliament. The same Parliament that is supposed to be keeping an eye on the executive are the same Parliament that will have 50% of the ministers emanating from. So there's confusion somewhere. But I digress. So Vice President Bawumia told us 4 reasons why we are the IMF. Project that for me, please. The 4 reasons according to the Bawumia epistle. The gospel according to Bawumia. And Dr. Bawumia yesterday used the analogy of a carpenter. That if you are a carpenter or if you contract a carpenter to build something for you, and then without a tsunami, tornado, whatever it is, the thing collapses, would you blame the carpenter? And then if you contract a carpenter and he builds for you and a tornado hits would you blame the carpenter? That's what Dr. Bawumia said. I didn't know that Dr. Bawumia was interested in carpenters. But 6 years on, are we still blaming the, what do you call it, the previous government? Energy sector excess capacity payments, banking sector cleanup, and COVID, Russia, Ukraine. How much did we spend on the banking sector cleanup? How much? And could we have used that money to save the banks? In other countries, banking sector cleanup had happened, and the banks had been saved. How much did we spend, did we propose to spend? Let's start from there. For the banking sector cleanup. And how much did we end up spending for the banking sector cleanup? And we always talk about the deposits that were saved, but how many jobs were lost? I know people who used to work in the bank who today are grilling meat, barbecue. I know people who used to work in the bank who today are selling pure water. I know people who used to work in the bank who today have started banku and shitolo business. I know people who used to work in the bank who today have started their own bakeries because they were shown the exit for no fault of theirs. When you start blaming another person for their troubles, they will get angry at you, Dr. Bawumia. So the mood in the country is not what you are projecting exactly. 6 years on, you are still blaming your predecessor. Then why did you force yourself to come into government? 6 years on, you are still blaming your predecessor. Abba, 6 years on, you have had the steer. And you told us that before COVID, we were doing very well. Why is it that within those 4 or 5 years, when COVID had not hit, why were you not blaming your predecessor? And then suddenly, when COVID, Russia, Ukraine, all the things you decide to throw in comes up, you start blaming your... So I'm saying that of all the blames you are giving to everybody, where does government's blame come in? Or you are not part of the problem because you are the managers of the economy. You are the leadership of the economy. So the mood in the country, I'm not sure Dr. Bawumia got the mood in the country right. Because at this point, we are not looking for jobs. At this point, we are not looking for raps. At this point, we are not looking for claps. At this point, we are looking for solutions that will take the people out of the doldrums, put food on their table, put money in their pocket. Why? When Dr. Bawumia said that we're going to write a cashless society, did he mean that at some point we will have no cash in our pockets? Because that's where we are now. Dr. Bawumia has spoken. What next? And should we be able to say that Dr. Bawumia has achieved what he wanted to achieve? Because he said we are going to run a cashless society. Now we have no cash in our pocket. Is that the cashless society Dr. Bawumia was talking about? Because my understanding of what a cashless society is that you have less cash circulating, like real cash, banknotes circulating. We would go to the e-platforms. We see what we have done with the e-levy. We have succeeded in discouraging people from using it. People are now congregating back in the banks. So I'm saying that when Dr. Bawumia meant we're going to have a cashless society, was he talking about no cash in your pockets? Because now we have got to the point where we have no cash in our pockets. And Dr. Bawumia should have been telling us how we're going to get cash in our pockets. Now, this is a Ghana card. This one is a Ghana card. We have not issued it to everybody who registered to get a Ghana card. People are still struggling to get their Ghana card. But guess what? Play that video from Dr. Bawumia for me about the Ghana card, Coco. Danny?
Sometimes don't even appreciate what the impact of the Ghana card is. But if you gave me 1,000 interchanges and a Ghana card, I'll choose the Ghana card because it has more impact on the dollar. Sometimes don't even appreciate what the impact of the Ghana card is. But if you gave me 1,000 interchanges and a Ghana card, I'll choose the Ghana card because it has more impact on the dollar.
If I had one Ghana card, 1,000 interchanges would mean nothing to me. So this one is compressed, 1,000 interchanges. But Dr. Bawumia, if you knew that one Ghana card is worth more than 1,000 interchanges, why didn't you start producing Ghana card from the get-go? Just like the cathedral analogy. that if we build a cathedral, all our problems will be solved. Why didn't you people start building the cathedral from scratch and doing national card? So that the Tamale interchange that we went to cut short for, the Obechebi Lamte that you went there, smiling and gleaning and giggling, you wouldn't have gone there. All those interchanges that you went to cut short for and made speeches then, including the one in Tamale where you said that, oh, the contract has been awarded, but you are now in talks with the architect to look at the quantities. And I asked myself, what quantities did you agree with the architect before you eventually signed the contract? Because the quantities will decide how much you're going to spend and the duration of the project. My father has built so many things in this country, so I know. And it's basic knowledge. Are you now suggesting to us, the same person who told us that we will construct concrete roads, Dr. Bawumia, the same person who told us that we'll start asphalt and bitumen roads and construct concrete roads, and I've been asking you where the concrete roads you promised us are. The same person who told us that we would have to use interchanges and we'll have to get them so that the economy will move at a certain speed. Now is telling us that one Ghana card like this, is worth or better than 1,000 interchanges. Hey, boss, today is Friday.